I love TF2. Shocking, I know. But in this video, I wanted to talk about the specifics of why it's my favorite game and why I hold it so close to my heart. This is the first time I've actually scripted a video, and I hope you, yes you, enjoy. And without further ado... I see a lot of people complaining nowadays about how games don't have enough diversity. And something I love about TF2 is how much diversity between the characters they have. I mean, they have a disabled black character, a fat character, and a character with an unknown gender. And the thing I like about that is that it doesn't feel forced. They didn't add these characters for the sake of diversity and representation. They added these characters because they wanted to. They all have depth, flaws, and strengths. They're characters that are made to be characters, and not just placeholders. Yeah, this has been mentioned a lot, and you've probably seen this explained better by someone who isn't a teenage girl gushing about her favorite game. But I'm still gonna talk about it regardless. TF2 character silhouettes are ingeniously designed. Look at Heavy and Scout, for example. If you looked at their silhouettes and only their silhouettes, you would still be able to recognize which characters you're looking at. And another thing that helps distinguish the characters from each other is clothing. Sniper wears an Australian Army slouch hat, Medic has a long doctor's coat, Spy has a fancy suit, Demo has a bulky explosive vest, and so on and so on. Because these silhouettes are so different, both with height and with shape, it makes it easier for players to spot enemies in the distance. And even with cosmetics, Halloween limiteds excluded, it's still easy to spot them because they keep the same base shape of the mercenaries. I love the mercenaries and their personalities. They're all dynamic and unique to each character, which makes them memorable. Take Medic, for example, a crazy German doctor who lost his medical license because he stole a man's skeleton. A whole skeleton. He treats his teammates more like experiments than patients, and even sold their souls to the devil. Another example is Pyro. Pyro is seen as this terrifying pyromaniac who shows no mercy and takes sadistic pleasure in harming others. But all Pyro sees is a magical world full of rainbows and butterflies. Even the mercenaries to Pyro just look like little kids wanting to play. Or Demo, a drunken Scottish man who will literally die if he stops drinking alcohol because his body thinks he's being poisoned. Or Soldier, the overly patriotic American who's friends with cardboard cutouts and has been drinking water that has been giving him lead poisoning for years. The personalities also do a good job at clashing with each other, but not in a way that makes the characters hate each other. Something else I've noticed is the automatic thank you voice lines that play after using a teleporter or being healed by Medic. Each of the voice lines fit the characters' personalities and shows off their speaking patterns. The most prominent example of character bonds is the friendship between the Red Demo and the Blue Soldier. When the War Update comic released, it confirmed that the two of them were close friends and allies. The War comic shows that they had been friends for 6 months and had even gone to Vegas together, which I'm not sure when they found the time to do that, but that's not the point. The War Update also gave them unused domination voice lines for each other, showing that they were still friends even though they're on different teams.
Dominated! I cherish these moments we spend together. Dominated! But you're still me best mate.
Speaking of friendships, another one worth mentioning is Sniper and Scout. Sniper is quiet and keeps to himself most of the time, preferring to get the job done quickly and efficiently. Not to mention he's prepared and a professional. He says himself that he has a plan to kill everyone he meets. And then there's Scout. Scout is the furthest thing from quiet and is nowhere near a professional. Scout learned to solve problems with his fists rather than his head. This is even apparent in his play style, which is very in your face and shoot now and ask questions later. These characters seem like they have nothing in common, and yet they still canonically get tacos together in their free time. And don't even get me started on Heavy and Medic. Those two definitely have something going on. The character designs. I don't even know where to begin here. The clothing, the hair, or lack of, the facial features, they're all so carefully designed. Out of everyone, I'd say my favorite design is Medic, so I'll start talking about his. Medic has a few key features about his design that I'll point out. The white coat, the red cross on his shoulders, and his face. I pointed out the white coat and the red cross to show that Valve made it so that it was easy to be able to tell what a class was just by looking at them. It's not just Medic, there's a reoccurring pattern of this. Look at Spy's design. A fancy suit and a mask obstructing his face. Right off the bat, you're able to tell that he's, well, a spy. And for Soldier, he has this bucket hat and a traditional army uniform. And even Sniper. He's got a crosshair on his shoulder and a vest with rifle bullets in his pocket. Going back to what I said about Medic's face, each mercenary has facial features of the country they're from. Medic's facial shape has German origins, a square jawline, prominent cheekbones, and light eyes. Spy is another good example of facial features from countries. French people typically have high cheekbones, lighter eyes, and a straight nose. It shows how Valve paid attention to detail when designing the characters. Another thing about the characters is that their body type fit their classes. Heavy and Scout are the best examples. Scout is a scrawny little guy made for running fast and getting out of sticky situations. In-game, he's hunched over, which is not only accurate for running positions, but it also makes his hitbox smaller, making him harder to hit. For Heavy, he's this big, strong Russian man with a minigun. He has to be strong to carry his guns, since he's literally called Heavy Weapons Guy. Heavy is pretty much a tank class for TF2, and in-game, he's the biggest target, but he has the most health. I also like that the teams are color-coded, which makes it easier to tell which players are your enemies, instead of just relying on usernames. Okay, let's take a break from talking about the characters and instead talk about the maps. I love the map designs for TF2. One of my favorites is 2 Fort, which I know might be controversial for this community since I've seen so many videos about people complaining about it, but I have my reasons for liking it. I think it's great for new players since it has a clear objective, no time limit, great sniper sightlines, accessible flank routes, and contrast between red and blue team. Blue team's base is made of concrete and metal, while red team's base is made out of wood and some metal. It does a great job at showing contrast between red and blue. Blue stands for Builders League United, so of course they're going to have concrete and metal for their defenses since they're builders. And red stands for Reliable Excavation and Demolition, so it makes sense for them to have less thought out defenses, preferring to use wood over concrete. Another thing I love about the maps is that 9 times out of 10, the red and blue sides are the same, just flipped and colored to fit the side of the map they're on. It's helpful for new players, since if they can memorize one side, the other is the same. Of course, the exception for this is payload, since it has specialized spawn for blue and red team. I also like how there's arrows and signs pointing the direction you need to go. It's useful for new players so that they know where the cap point is. Another thing that's useful, not just for new players but for everyone, is post-spawn wall hacks. If you die and your team is still alive, it outlines where your team members are so you know where to go. It's also useful for detecting spies. If you see a teammate you know is dead and you see a spy disguised as them, you can let your team know and then they'll take care of it. The TF2 comics are amazing. I love how it gave us a story. It really helped expand on their personalities and give us lore on their characters. It even introduced characters that are exclusive to the comics, like Heavy's sisters. It also gave us update comics, which are some of my favorite things to read when I'm bored and I have some free time. They stick to the comedy and goofiness that is TF2, but they have some genuine moments that made my heart hurt, like this next thing on the list. Yes, I dedicated a whole section of this video to Spy, but not just Spy, the concept of him being Scout's dad. It's been confirmed canon that Spy is Scout's dad, but for some reason I don't see a lot of people actually talking about it, so I'm taking it into my own hands. In Comic 6, when Scout is bleeding out on the floor, Spy sees him and almost tells him that he's Scout's father, but instead he disguises as Tom Jones because he wants Scout to die happy. Scout is a Tom Jones fanatic. He knows everything about Tom Jones, and even Spy himself says that Tom Jones is in his 20s. And Scout is 27, which means that Scout knew that Tom Jones wasn't actually his father, and he lets Spy lie to him one last time. Just before Scout dies, you can see that his eyes are glassy. He's about to cry. And I've seen some people say that Spy doesn't care about Scout since he left him and his mom in the first place. But we're able to debunk that within the same comic panel. He says that he's always been proud of Scout and that he was stronger than he'll ever know. Another example of Spy caring about Scout is an expiration date. The mercenaries are under the assumption that they only have 3 days left to live. And what does Spy do in those 3 days? He teaches Scout how to be a gentleman. If you only had 3 days to live, would you spend it teaching someone you supposedly don't care about how to be a better person? I don't think so. And in another comic, Spy is shown being fatherly to some random child. The child says that they're scared and Spy reassures them, saying that it's perfectly natural for them to be scared in a moment like this. And in Comic 7, he gives one of Scout's kids his mask. This shows that Spy really wants to be fatherly, but he's too late to parent his own son. It also gives us a deeper look into Spy's character. He's not just some backstabbing baguette with no morals. He has regrets, feelings, and more importantly, he loves and cares about his children. The Meet the Team videos are arguably some of the most iconic videos on the internet. They balance being educational and entertaining. Like in the Meet the Medic video. It does a great job of showing off his personality in the first half, and a great job at showing his gameplay in the second half. Same with the Meet the Scout video. Heck, even the Meet the Sandwich video shows off some personalities and gameplay to an extent. I adore the TF2 soundtrack. I think Valve did an amazing job with each song. One of my favorites is Medic, and I bet you didn't know the choir in the back says something in Latin that translates to "Death is everywhere, but the doctor will take care of us." Another song I love is Right Behind You. The way it starts out quiet and gets louder and more intense, it provokes a feeling of anxiety in the listener. Almost like someone is right behind them. See what I did there? Okay, I'm sorry. Taunts are a huge part of TF2, and it wouldn't be the same without them. A huge number of these taunts are community-made too, so it shows that despite neglecting the community for years, Valve still cares enough to add the taunts in minor updates. Taunts have their own charm to them, especially the partner taunts. Imagine TF2 without the Kazuki kick. It would be completely different, especially with the community and memes it inspired, or rock, paper, scissors, or the Schadenfreude. Taunts are such an iconic part of the community, and that's what I like about them. The TF2 art style is so recognizable that whenever you see it, you automatically know where it's from. Many people have tried to replicate it, but in the end it still falls flat. It has a mix of realism and cartoony elements, which I love. The TF2 comics also have a really recognizable art style, and it's actually what inspired my own art. And when you watch an SFM, you can almost immediately tell that it's an SFM just based on the art style of the models, which is why I love it so much. The last thing I wanted to mention was the community. I love this community. I love how long TF2 has been around for, and I love how there's still an active community, and I love how videos, including mine, still get views and likes. The community can take characters from the silly FPS shooter and make something amazing. Emesis Blue, Freak Fortress, Team Neighborhood, Little Pootis. All of these are amazing examples of what a good game and a great community can do. I see cosplayers, artists, animators, and even game developers that are inspired by TF2. It honestly makes me a little emotional, seeing how TF2 has had its peaks and its valleys, and people still love it. Although I joined the community late, back in April of 2025, I still cherish it and hold it close to my heart. If it hadn't been for TF2, I wouldn't like baseball, I wouldn't be learning German, I wouldn't even know who Tom Jones is. So many of my interests and hobbies stem from this game and its community. Every time I think I've seen it all, another animation comes out. Never change, TF2 community.